Okay, let's dive right into an explainer of a deeply tragic true crime case that literally shook India to its core. We're not just looking at a timeline of events here. No, this specific case, it became this massive, undeniable flashpoint. It sparked a huge national debate on women's safety, how our law enforcement operates, and honestly, the very nature of the justice system itself. You'll see how this incident, which is widely known as the Disha Case, became such a defining and, frankly, controversial moment in recent history. It's a case that started as a deeply concerning missing person report, but it escalated so rapidly into a highly public event that it ended up completely dividing a nation's view on law, order, and morality. Section 1. The Toll Plaza Trap. How a completely normal evening turns into a premeditated setup. So let's look at how this builds. Our victim was a hardworking young veterinary doctor just going about her daily life. Her routine was completely normal, commuting to work and heading back. But on the evening of November 27th, 2019, that routine was tragically interrupted. She parked her scooter at the Shadnagar Toll Plaza in Hyderabad. When she got back later, she found she had a flat tire. Now here is what is absolutely crucial to understand. According to the police investigation, that flat tire wasn't an accident. It was a setup. It was a psychological trap planted by individuals already at the scene, specifically to make her vulnerable. And when they offered to help her, that triggered the kidnapping. She literally had no time to react. Right before her phone went completely dead, she managed to make one final call to her sister. And she expressed this really chilling sentiment. She was feeling fear. That call wasn't just a heartbreaking final contact with her family. It actually became the very first major clue that kickstarted the entire investigation. Following that phone call, the situation escalated into just unthinkable violence. We're keeping things educational here, so without getting into the explicit details, the victim was taken to an isolated location and subjected to brutal violence. Afterward, the perpetrators actually attempted to burn her body near an underpass to completely destroy the evidence. It was an act of extreme brutality. And when her body was found and the news broke, it sent the entire nation into absolute shock. Which brings us to Section 2, Clues and Police Investigation, racing against time to find the perpetrators. Now, what's really interesting here is how the police responded under an absolute pressure cooker of public scrutiny. Once the family filed the report, a massive, high-stakes manhunt began. The authorities immediately deployed a rigorous, multi-step approach. Step 1, phone location tracking. Step 2, a huge analysis of CCTV footage from the surrounding areas. Step 3, collecting physical evidence right from the toll plaza. And Step 4, rapidly reviewing witness statements. The public pressure was just enormous, so they had to move incredibly fast to piece this puzzle together. And the speed really was the crucial point here. Within a remarkably short time frame, relying on all that step-by-step evidence, the authorities successfully identified, traced, and arrested a total of 4 accused individuals. But, those arrests, they didn't calm the public down at all. In fact, realizing what had actually happened just poured fuel on the fire. Nationwide protests erupted. Citizens were pouring out onto the streets, blocking roads, and demanding swift, severe justice. Social media timelines were completely hijacked by viral hashtags. The entire country was demanding immediate accountability, creating this highly volatile, super intense atmosphere around the case. Moving to Section 3, Encounter and National Debate, the crime scene recreation and its controversial aftermath. This brings us to what is really the climax of this narrative, the event that became the single most controversial moment of the whole case. According to the official police report, authorities took the 4 accused back to the location in the early hours to recreate the crime scene. During this process, the police state that the accused attempted to escape and actively attacked the officers. This physical altercation resulted in the police firing their weapons, which ultimately proved fatal for all 4 suspects in what's widely referred to as an encounter. And man, this brilliantly illustrates how immediately polarized the country became. It split the nation right down the middle. On one side, a massive chunk of the public celebrated. People were literally distributing sweets, praising the police for their swift action, and declaring that justice had been served. But on the exact opposite side, human rights advocates and legal experts raised some incredibly serious questions. They viewed this fatal encounter as a potential system failure, pointing out that bypassing due process and constitutional rights undermines the rule of law. So you had this deep divide, celebrating vigilante-style justice born out of frustration versus mourning the perceived breakdown of the legal system. It's a debate that is still highly sensitive to this day. Finally, Section 4, Lessons for Women's Safety. moving beyond reactive laws to systemic prevention. Let's pivot our focus for a second, away from the criminals and the encounter, and look at society as a whole. Because the absolute biggest lesson from the Disha case is right here. What's the takeaway? Well, we have to move beyond just reacting. Obviously, things like CCTV networks, rapid policing, and strict punishment are super important. But true, lasting safety, that relies on a fundamental shift in our societal mindset and actual systemic prevention. We need to mandate public awareness campaigns. We've got to implement genuinely safe public transport options, radically increase street security, and establish fast, frictionless complaint systems that victims can actually trust. Because safety isn't just about catching the bad guys after the fact. It's about building a world where the crime never has a chance to happen in the first place. Which brings us to our final and maybe most important point. This case was a blaring alarm for society, and it leaves us with this powerful, haunting question from our sources that still echoes today. Until when will women have to live with daily fear for their safety? I really want you to think about that as we wrap up this explainer. The Disha case was a stark reminder that making society safe is an urgent, ongoing mission for all of us. Thank you for walking through this analysis with me, and I hope it gave you a much clearer understanding of the vital issues at play here.